Hello, I'm Dan Weedin. Welcome to the June 28th. I think my little live button just came on, so I'm going to start over. How about that? Hi, I'm Dan Weedin. Welcome to my July 28th Weedin Unleashed. This is my weekly Google On Air broadcast. It goes out every Monday at noon Pacific Standard Time. What I do is I end up talking to you a little bit about one of the topics that's important to me, at least at the moment it is. It's what I write for my Extra Points newsletter. If you're not getting my Extra Points newsletter, please let me know, dan@danweedin.com, and I'll make sure that you're getting that. But that's always the topic, or at least generally the topic of my conversation. We'll get into that in just about a minute or so. You're either watching this live, which is kind of the cool part, and I hope we'll get more and more people over time to do that, or you're watching this at a later date thanks to the recording of YouTube. That is also fine. It's just, I think, a great way to be able to reach as many people as possible in a manner that they would like it. Today, Captain Jack is hanging out here with me. You can't see him. I'm hoping that he will remain quiet during the whole time that this is going on. We'll give it our best shot. If he doesn't, that's life, because he's kind of an unleashed kind of guy. So let's get started. Again, I'm happy that you're here either watching live or watching at your convenience on YouTube, and we'll get going. Many of you who have seen me speak have seen me give an illustration of social styles based on the story or of a case study of somebody who is at an airport and their plane is delayed. And I go through some of the four main social styles and how people will generally react, either internally or viscerally or however they react from a level of assertiveness and from a level of responsiveness, and just I use that as an example. Well, I've never really been in a situation where I've had a huge plane delay until last week. Last week I was scheduled to go to New York. I had a meeting in the city that was scheduled for noon, and I was going to meet my contact at 11 o'clock. He was coming out from Seattle as well, but he was already out in New York City. Well, I had set up through JetBlue to travel, not a true, I guess it wasn't a true red eye, maybe it was. I was leaving at 9:30 Pacific time, and I was going to land in New York City about 5:30. Excuse me. I'm going to land about 5:30 in the morning, but I had plenty of time to get to the place I was going to be, to take a shower, have some breakfast, and then to meet up with my client at 11 in time. When I got to the airport, as soon as I hit security, I saw that my plane was now delayed about 3 hours, which my heart just sunk. Like, oh no, here I'm not going to be leaving until 12 o'clock Pacific time. It's going to delay me getting in until about 8:30 or 9. I did the math in my head. It seemed like I still had time to get everything done, so I was trying to reach my contact. As I got in further, as I found out that it was delayed again until 2 o'clock, and I remember going to the person and saying, person at JetBlue, and saying, "Are we going to be able to fly out?" And she didn't know. Apparently, there was some really bad weather in New York at that time. Went into the sports bar to watch some of the home run hitting contests, have a glass of wine, and relax. When I was done, I came out and I saw a fairly significant line at the gate with the person there, and I was wondering why, since we weren't going to be leaving until 2 or 2:30. And all of a sudden, within a few seconds, she announced that the flight had been canceled. Weather wasn't going to allow them to get out. Flight had been canceled, and to immediately go back to the ticket counter outside security where they would rebook. And the reason for that is she was the only person there. There was a lot of passengers, and she couldn't possibly service everybody well in doing that. The first thing that happened was all of a sudden the throng of people took like a big step forward, all toward her. Questions being asked, people upset, the whole 9 yards. I took off, lickety-split, back to the ticket counter. I knew that she in no way could take care of what my needs were immediately, that perhaps there was a chance to get on another airline and get out, and I needed to get moving. And so I took off to the ticket counter. I was one of the first people in line because of that. And as it turns out, uh, they couldn't get me there in a time that worked out. I couldn't get a hold of my client, and so I postponed the flight and ended up going back home. The moral of the story is this: the majority of the people who were at the gate were barking up the wrong tree. They were barking up the wrong tree because this person, this woman, couldn't help them. And she told them she couldn't help them. She was the only person there. She didn't have the capabilities to help everybody rebook. We had to leave. So they were really, in a sense, barking up the wrong tree. Very similar to what Captain Jack or Bella might do if they see a squirrel in a tree. They start barking up that tree. The squirrel jumps ship and goes to another tree, and they don't go with the squirrel. They're barking at nothing. Nothing is there. There's no results that can happen that's to their benefit. There were no results to the benefit of the people who were at the JetBlue gate. Eventually, that throng, I saw them come in, but I was already done. I'd already been taken care of. My money had already been refunded, and I was about to head back home. The moral of the story for you is, or I guess the lesson of the story is, what trees are you barking up where there's nothing there? Think about this. Have you ever been, if you're in a sales situation, are you barking up the wrong tree when you are only talking or dealing with somebody who can only say no? They can't say yes to you. They don't have the authority to basically sign a check for whatever it is, a service or product you're giving. You're barking up the wrong tree. Have you ever been in a situation where you're trying to get something accomplished, and again, the person that you're talking to doesn't have the authority? Maybe you've got a complaint, but you're not talking to the people that can do anything for you, whether it's on the phone or whether it's in person. Perhaps you are looking to get a job, and you think you're talking to the right person, but this person isn't in charge of hiring. They're 2 or 3 steps removed, and you continue to go after them. You're barking up the wrong tree. So here's what I want you to think about. After all of this, after all of my story, you're going to end up wasting your time, getting frustrated, losing money, all of the above, if you spend time in the wrong places. Time is a precious commodity. It's not a resource issue. It's a priority issue. But it is still a resource issue to a certain extent. And so what happens is that resource gets diminished because you're in the wrong place. That's a problem. Really focus hard on making sure that you are spending your time at the tree of choice. How do you do that? That might be easier said than done. How do you make sure you are not barking up the wrong tree? Well, it depends on the situation, but here are a couple thoughts for you. Number one, if you're dealing with a person and you're trying to gain some result, and the result might be you are trying to show them value in your product or service so that they will purchase from you. They might become a new client. So that's that person. You might be at a store trying to return something. You're dealing with a person. Heck, you might be standing in line for something else, trying to get a reservation someplace. When you're dealing with a person and you're looking to get results, you have to make sure that that person is someone who can give you those results. And this comes, you find that out from some simple questions. So when we're talking about a sale, many of you watching this might be in some level of sales. A simple question is, are you the person who can make the decision to move forward if we come to an agreement? It's a yes or no answer. If they can say no, most everybody can say no, but not everybody can say yes. Are you the person who can make the decision to move forward if we come to a conceptual agreement, we come to some level of agreement? You need to find that out. If the answer is no, you need to make sure that you get introduced to that person before you spend any more time. Because I promise you that if you're not speaking in a sales situation to the person who's making that decision, you're not going to get the account. You're not going to get the sale. Or if you do, for some way or other, it's going to take a long time to do it. If you are in a situation in a personal level, you're maybe trying to make a reservation. Again, a simple question: are you the person who can get me here? Are you the person who is going to most swiftly accommodate my request for reservation or accommodate my request for help in any way? Here's another real story of mine. It came from traveling. I was in Miami in January, and I had an issue with I'd used my American Express card to check out, and they had double billed me. They had billed me in addition to not taking out the original swipe, and so I had noticed that. I was still in New Jersey and on the same trip, just in a different locale, and I ended up calling somebody who absolutely couldn't help, but I knew that, and that person quickly got me to the person that could. And from that point on, things went very smoothly. The hotel was great, American Express was great, and within less than 24 hours, probably closer to about 4 or 5 hours, the problem was resolved. But had I spent more time with that first person and not asked the right questions, I still might be trying to get that charge taken off. So regardless of the situation that you're in, if you're looking to try to get results, for me the results in this last story, the results were either getting booked on a new flight or just going home. I had to make a decision. Talking to the lady at JetBlue at the gate was not going to get me anywhere. In fact, it was only going to make me frustrated, waste my time. I'd be standing in a long line of barkers. So I went to the person who could take care of it. Too many of us ignore those warnings. We're told maybe in some uncertain, maybe in terms that are verbal, and maybe in other types of signs that we should be paying attention to. We're told that this is the place to go, yet we don't listen to it. We spend our time trying to force the issue the way we want to go. So today's lesson is make sure that when you are spending your time barking, it's at the right tree, at the right squirrel. We'll use Captain Jack example here, that we're barking at the right tree. I don't actually look like I don't have anybody on today, although I have found out from others who are listening sometimes that they might be driving and they're catching me on their mobile device and they're listening to me that way, so they can't ask questions. If you're out there, thank you for taking the time to do that. I've heard from a couple of you that have done that. Great. It doesn't look like I have any questions. I've been rambling on here for about 12 minutes. Let me do a little bit of catch up on some other items. Number one, again, is to remind you I'll be back here again next Monday at noon Pacific time. I'll have a new topic to talk about. You're able to come join me by finding out about the link to Google, to this Google Hangout. You can find out about those by finding me on Google, and we can connect that way. We can also connect on other social media platforms, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. I get the link out there. I would love to have you come join live and be part of that conversation. So I'll be doing this every Monday. If you want to be part of it from a live standpoint, let me know. We'll find a way to get you connected, and again, to get you the information to join us. Would also love to have you subscribe to the newsletter if you're not already. You can contact me at dan@danweedin.com. Final comment is some of you out there might have students, college-aged and high school-aged students. If you have a student or a grandchild or somebody that's important in your life between the ages of 18 and 25, I'm putting on a brand new special program called the Unleashed Student Accelerator. It's to help college-aged and high school-aged kids with some career development, some career planning, some strategy, and some ways to really make sure that they advance in their career unleashed, like I'm hoping that you will in your career. You can find that on my blog at Weedin360.com. It's brand new, and those workshops are going to be at the end of September and into early October. So you have some time on that. Again, it doesn't look like we have anybody today. That's okay. That's what happens with live broadcasts sometimes. If we do have you and you're listening in, thank you. So this will be a quick one today. The topic has been, and I actually got a lot of feedback from people via email, which is nice. The topic has been how to avoid barking up the wrong tree, and recognizing when you do and making sure that all of the work that you do is going to have an end result, but that you're in the right line and you're at the right tree. So this has been Dan Weedin today, talking to you from the palatial studios of my office here in Paulsboro, Washington. Not so palatial, but Captain Jack's been sitting here with me. I'm glad that you are able to join us in some capacity. I hope you will continue on and make this a part of your week. So thank you very much. I'm Dan Weedin. This has been Weedin Unleashed, and I'll see you next week. Ciao.